I'm going to tell you about Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, why you haven't played it, and why you probably should. So stick around because this game surprised me.
Do you have intel?
From its stupidly long name to its cringy dialogue, this game is exactly what I've been looking for. Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 reminds me of those AA FPS games they used to get in the mid-2000s and the early 2010s. Little gems outside of the typical Call of Duty and Battlefield games. Recently, I had some nostalgia for the likes of Black, Fear, and Bioshock, and it's got me thinking about how we don't really get too many releases like this anymore. Now, I'm not saying that Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 is on the same level as these classics, but it's certainly given me that hit of nostalgia I needed. So what is SGWC2? No, that's still way too long. From here out, I'm just going to call it Contracts 2, although that does sound like a game for footballer agents. Anyway, is it good, too cringy, or just the right amount of kick-ass that will pull you in? You play as a badass sniper ghost warrior known as Raven, which straight away pulls me out of it because I immediately think of this guy. But that's not the game's fault, really that's just me. You've been sent out on a mission of world peace, dominance, no, peace, and the only way to achieve this is by headshotting as many people as possible. No, but in all seriousness, what do you expect in a game that has sniper in its name? I mean, I would be disappointed if it wasn't about that. Set in only one of two places it could possibly have been set in, the Middle East, you were sent out to eliminate high-value targets in a wide variety of scenarios in semi-open environments. And that's really one of the best parts of the game, is the way it structures its missions. And that's a statement that's going to divide opinion in the comments, I can already feel it. It opens up with a contracts page with a number of different locations. You can choose one of the locations to explore, and you are tasked to complete specific actions throughout, tackling them however you see fit in whatever order you choose. The main thing they nailed here is a great mix of hand-holding and setting the player free. You always know where you're supposed to go with the use of map markers and dialogue cues, but it doesn't exactly tell you how to complete the objectives in front of you. And that's all down to the player. Fancy planting mines everywhere and causing chaos? You do that. Want to be super sneaky beaky? Of course. Want to skip all the recon shenanigans and eliminate everyone on the map? Do it. There are even small side challenges for that exact kind of playstyle that reward you with cash and XP, adding great replay value that encourages you to play in different ways. But before you can jump into a contract, you first must prepare for it. Usually the game will give you a hint on what to expect in the upcoming contract, but it's still important to take a look at the contract screen before jumping in. The environments can change quite drastically, and the scenarios you find yourself in can be extremely challenging if you don't prepare yourself for them. For example, engagement ranges might change from contract to contract, and if you're further away, you won't be needing a silencer as no one will be able to hear your shot anyway. But on the other hand, you'll need to make sure you bring a high-powered rifle with a high-powered scope, because good luck trying to hit a 1,000-meter headshot on a moving target with a 6x. But it goes the other way too. If you feel as though you're going to be entering some close quarters environments, bringing a quality sidearm will be key. Most of the weapons feel fairly similar though, and you won't notice too much difference other than the base stat changes like damage and range output. The weakest of the three weapons you can carry is the second slot, which is reserved for SMGs, shotguns and carbines. All feel quite lightweight and useless in comparison to the pistols and snipers. It takes a lot of shots to take down a single soldier. You're best off trying to avoid these if possible. But again, I feel like this is by design, as the main aim of the game is stealth and sniping. That aside though, the snipers do feel super satisfying to use with big punchy sounds and impacts on your target. The pistols of course do feel like pea shooters, but the high damage output to the head makes up for that plenty. But it's not all about the weapons though. Raven has a plethora of gadgets to choose from, all with their own unique uses and gameplay potential. Again, choosing these wisely is key. You have everything from drones to mines to sensors, and even different ammo types to choose from. EMP rounds, explosive, armor piercing. Each one has its own unique purpose within the game. Again, a mechanic that keeps you guessing and coming back to try new strategies. But of course, you don't have all of this from the word go. No, there is an in-game currency system and a skill tree to flesh this out. It's pretty basic, and that's what I like about it. There are multiple paths in the skill tree, but it's nothing too convoluted, and each skill brings something significant to the table that actually feels useful. The points you spend on the skills are earned by leveling up, as you might expect, and earning you a number of tokens to go into whatever tree you want. Leveling up is as simple as completing each area and the challenges within them. This also earns you cash, which is then spent on pretty much everything else there is to unlock. Weapons, attachments, gadgets, etc. Challenges can vary from completing the stage without being detected, to eliminating a target using a specific method, like an explosive, or whilst they're using an elevator, or doing some other action they might be doing in the scripted path. There is a wide variety to go for, and this is where most of the replay value comes from, as it will take you multiple runs to complete all of them if you so choose to. But they are completely optional. Yes, you will be missing out on some extra cash and levels, but I never felt short of funds when wanting to purchase a new attachment or piece of gear, which is important for the players who simply don't have the time to replay and grind these stages just to get a different weapon. Again, showing respect for our time. The maps aren't too big, I mean they are fairly large, but they are pretty dense and detailed with things to do in each mini location. So you never find yourself overwhelmed when you're dropped into the middle of one. There is just the right amount of stuff to do, and it all seems obtainable without having to sink hours and hours into a single mission area. Within the larger map, there are mission areas located around, highlighted in pink boxes. Once you enter those specific areas, you usually get a bit of dialogue to help you understand what objective waits in this particular zone. You can also find this out by reading through the objectives/challenge list at any point in-game. It keeps the flow of gameplay ticking over nicely, and traversing between each location is mildly entertaining too, especially thanks to the game's surprisingly pretty presentation. I'm not sure why, but when I first booted up the game, I just didn't realize it would look so good. It's not going to blow you away or anything, but considering the size and scope of the environments, they can be very crisp, full of detail and life. The world looks believable, from the vast open natural environments to the military structures you will infiltrate. It all comes together to paint an image very pleasing to the eye. It entices you to explore the corners of the world they have created, and you are usually rewarded with a collectible or two, which is very nice. What I would say is a small downside is that I found the general movement around the environments a little bit stiff and clunky at times. I found myself slipping off ledges without warning and struggling to climb out of bodies of water and just up basic ledges. It's not a huge issue, but when you're sneaking behind enemy lines with enemies all around, the last thing I want to be doing is flailing around in the water or jumping into a wall endlessly because it's just not registering the ledge in front of me. The gunplay is precise, but the movement and platforming leaves a lot to be desired. Though this game is a solid bit of fun, I will finish on arguably its weakest link, the story. Now, I know it's not trying to be a narrative masterpiece here, and for that, I'm not going to go too hard on it, but that being said, some of the writing and characters are pretty laughable. I mean, it sticks to the theme of being a classic early 2000 FPS with stereotypical characters and cringy lines, but boy does it bring you out every single time Raven opens his mouth.
No reason to keep you alive then. There! Over there!
It just brings the quality of the entire game down a peg for me. Every NPC has the same voice and only a handful of lines. Dialogue constantly gets cut short by other lines of dialogue, resulting in the player missing key bits of exposition, storytelling, and even the objectives within game. So in the end, you just give up trying to understand what's going on and just go back to mindlessly sniping people across the map, which is fine, I guess. I'm not saying the voice acting is bad either. In fact, the delivery of the lines the actors are given is actually really good. I can't fault it. It's the way the game presents them, how they're packaged, the poor writing. It really shines a light on the distinct lack of polish on that side of the game. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it might be for some other people, which is a bit of a shame. I don't want to leave it on a bad note though, so obviously in conclusion, I've enjoyed my time with Contracts 2. It's a solid FPS and really surprised me at times. If you're looking for an FPS that hits a little different from, like I said, Call of Duty, Battlefield, then this might just fit the bill for you. It's fun, respects your time, and offers up a unique experience. I feel like a lot of people missed out on this because either they just didn't hear about it, or they just didn't want to fork out for it because they didn't know what to expect. Well, if that's the case, hopefully this video changed your mind. You want to give it a go. It's definitely worth it. I'd probably wait until you get it on a sale, but it's something different. And that's pretty much everything from me, guys. I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, please leave a like if you fancy, and even subscribe if you want to stick around. I'm going to do more videos like this in the future. If you've got any suggestions or any comments about this video in particular, feel free to leave them down below. But until next time, cheers.